Friday, the 22nd of July, 2022. This is a breakfast show that comes to your screen every morning from 07 hours to 09 hours, where we discuss a lot of important things happening around in the area of community, in the area of policy. And of course, today on a Friday, we look at the business sector of what is happening around. I am your host, Prudence Chota, for this morning, and I'm so hopeful that we are going to have a good and wonderful time to make those contributions and submissions, and of course, into today's topic. Now, one thing that we should also realize is the fact that the United Party for National Development administration, since assuming office, have made a number of scores, which we will be discussing today on the program. How are some of the scores contributing to the economic development of this country? We have seen some opposition have criticized the current government, saying from the time they assumed office, there's nothing that they have to show off to say Zambia is recovering. But on this program, we are not basing our argument on assumptions, but of course the facts that are happening around. So for everyone watching us in the comfort of your home, in your offices, on your gadgets, you're traveling or stuff like that, we are glad that you have joined us this morning, and we are hopeful that we are going to make those contributions and submissions with regards to today's topic of discussion. But before I go digging deeper, or maybe saying too much from what I've already said, we are going to look at the healthy corner. It's always important for you to know how is it that you're performing health-wise. We always emphasize when we come on this program that the doctors are here to answer to some of those conditions, health conditions that you might be encountering, or you might have heard of, or maybe your relative, your children are encountering a certain illness and you don't know how is it that you have to go about it. This is why the doctors are here to discuss that. But if you have pending questions with regards to some of the topics that the doctors discuss every week on the program, please send us a message, leave us a message on our Facebook page, or the numbers that are scrolling on the screen right now. There are some numbers there. Just send a message. Even if there is a particular topic that you want the doctors to table, we also give you an opportunity to just ask, and we are going to talk to them so that they can talk about certain topics of interest. But also just to mention to our faithful Camnet viewers that this Doctor's Corner is up for grab for sponsorship. If you want to continue seeing the doctors come on the breakfast show every morning from Monday to Friday, you can support this program. You can sponsor this program so that the Medical Women Association of Zambia can continue coming to your screen right here at Camnet TV. So even right about now, we are going to call into the Doctor's Corner. Stay tuned.
Good morning, viewers. I'm Dr. Nancy Mbasela from the Medical Women Association of Zambia. This week on Health Talk, we are talking about lupus. Lupus is a chronic autoimmune disease. So by chronic, we've said it's long-standing. It comes in flare-up. So you have symptoms, they get managed, and then when you have stress through smoking, you can get symptoms again. We also mentioned that lupus is an autoimmune disease, which means that your body sees your cells, your organs, and other parts of your body as foreign entities and attacks those parts of the body. One thing we discussed yesterday was systemic lupus erythematosus. We said it affects Africans the most. It also affects women the most. That is, 90% of cases are in women of childbearing age. We discussed that lupus can present in different ways because it's systemic, so it affects different parts of the body. So we spoke that the patient can present with brain problems such as seizures, a stroke. They can present with heart problems such as heart failure. They can present with kidney problems, kidney failure, hypertension. They can present with blood problems, anemia and bleeding. and they can also present with immunological problems, and in more times than one, they present with a rash. One thing I want to emphasize about the rash today is that another reason that can cause a flare-up is being in the sun for too long. So if you have lupus, make sure you take measures, wear clothes that cover most of your body parts. Make sure that you wear sunscreen, because UV light can also cause flare-ups. So today we are going to talk about discoid lupus erythematosus. So discoid lupus erythematosus mainly affects the skin. It is not like systemic lupus erythematosus. But of note is that some of the patients with discoid lupus erythematosus can present with systemic lupus erythematosus later. So discoid lupus erythematosus also affects African blacks, Latinas, Asians more than it affects Caucasians. It is less severe than systemic lupus erythematosus. Usually how the patients present is they have rash on the face and the scalp. So this rash usually comes in a round form, and then it sometimes forms scales. One thing about this rash is that it leaves scars. So where there is scarring, especially on the scalp, these patients may present with alopecia because its hair cannot grow on that scar. So when it comes to diagnosis, it can also be diagnosed. It is diagnosed the same way that we diagnose systemic lupus erythematosus. There are blood tests that can be done to diagnose it. The treatment is also the same. It can be treated the same way we treat systemic lupus erythematosus. So if you have symptoms of discoid lupus erythematosus, that is a rash that comes as a round rash that forms scales, and also on your scalp. It can also happen on your limbs, but usually it's on the face and the scalp. Please visit a hospital. There are chances that you may also get systemic lupus erythematosus, which is a more dangerous form of lupus that can lead to death, especially when diagnosed late and treatment is started late. So go to the nearest hospital and make sure you are screened if you have any of these symptoms. If you have this form of lupus, make sure that you wear clothes that cover places that are usually exposed to the sun. Make sure you wear sunscreen. If you smoke, of all lupus forms, this one is mostly affected by smoking. If you smoke, please quit smoking. Then if there's a lot of stress in your life, try as much as possible to avoid or minimize it in order to avoid flare-up. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll continue to discuss lupus in the next 2 days. Thank you.
That was Dr. Nancy Mbasela from the Medical Women's Association of Zambia. And of course, she was talking about lupus. That is an illness that I actually did not even know exists. So learning about her, or learning about it and hearing her speak about lupus, gives me a lot of insight about what this particular illness is, how it can be treated, and how is it that you can live with this kind of a condition and still have a normal life. Do not take your health for granted. I always emphasize when I come on this program that a healthy nation, a healthy people makes a healthy nation. We need to see you in a health condition. We do not want conditions that stop us from doing our daily activities, or rather sometimes we live with certain conditions without even knowing that we have this particular condition. So it is important for you to visit the nearest health facility for you to know what is it that is going on in your body. Your body is very important for you to become active and do your daily activities. So visit the nearest health facility for you to be in good condition, for you to know what is it that is happening. Camnet TV cares for you. That's why we bring you the Doctor's Corner every morning from Monday to Friday, where we talk about different illnesses, how you can treat them, how you can live with them. If it is a condition that you have to live with, this is a program for you to keep watching. To everyone watching Camnet TV, thank you so much this morning. Let's get to interact. Send me those messages on Facebook. At a particular time, I'm going to read some of those messages that you are sending today. And of course, for everyone who wants to pass a comment with regards to the things that we'll be discussing, our phone lines will be open. Just call and make those submissions. This is the Friday edition of The Breakfast Show. And on Friday, we discuss business, strictly business, where we talk about what is it that is happening. So today, we are discussing the scores of the United Party for National Development Administration, the scores that they've made. How are they contributing to economic recovery? Remember, we are going towards the Agenda 2030, where we plan to be a middle-income country by that time. But also considering that we have been classified as a lower-income country, are we going to achieve our Agenda 2030 of becoming a middle-income country? That is determined by some of the things that are being done now. So is the United Party for National Development doing enough to take us to the Agenda 2030 of becoming a middle prosperous income country? Zambia is a land of prosperity. Zambia is a land of opportunities. If you're out there and you're wondering, how is it that I can participate into this economic recovery that they are talking about, we are here to give you those solutions in this program. Just stay tuned to Camnet TV, and we will be able to show you how you can actually contribute to the development of this country later on in the program. But for business persons, those who are doing business, and of course, you do source your goods from outside the country, we are going to look at our money market for this morning. How is it that our local currency is performing against other major convertibles? I have been excited the past few weeks knowing that the Zambian kwacha is trading better than the South African rand. Actually, the kwacha is stronger as it is today than the South African rand. That is one thing that we should appreciate our current administration. We know South Africa's economy has been performing quite well. They also have their own challenges. I'm not saying they don't. They equally have their own challenges. But we all know how the South African economy has been performing. We know most of the goods in Zambia, we import them from South Africa, beginning with fruits, clothing, and stuff like that. And I think we should by now be moving to becoming a self-sustainable country. And we are a step closer if only you and me played our part. So we are going to look into the money market. How is it that the Zambian kwacha is performing against major convertibles? This morning, Friday, the 22nd of July, 2022, right here in Lusaka. So the Zambian kwacha against the United States dollar is buying at 16 kwacha 35 ngwe and selling at 16 kwacha 67 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the Great British Pound is buying at 19 kwacha 46 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 85 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the euro is buying at 16 kwacha 63 ngwe and selling at 16 kwacha 96 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the rand, the South African rand, is buying at 0 kwacha 96 ngwe and selling at 0 kwacha 98 ngwe. There you have it. That is the money market. The Zambian kwacha and the euro, at least we have seen a bit of some similarity there. 16 kwacha 35 ngwe and 16 kwacha 63 ngwe. That is the buying price, and selling at 16 kwacha 67 ngwe and selling at 16 kwacha 96 ngwe. We've seen how the kwacha is performing. We have seen a stability in the past few months. Kudos to the current administration for that. We need to see a currency that is strong. Remember, if you have a stronger currency or a currency that is stable, apart from it being strong, we need a stable currency. If you have a stable currency, it is easy for development in your country to be felt. It is easy for stability in the country. Of late, we've seen some commodity prices have remained constant. Why? Because the Zambian kwacha has been stable over the past few months. This is the benefit of having a stable currency, because you don't see prices fluctuate. Today it is up, tomorrow it is down. It disturbs what happens, pardon me, on the market. We all know that Zambia is a free economy where the market itself determines what happens. But of course, we cannot ignore some of the factors that the administration that is in the government in power contributes to ensuring that there is economic recovery. We're talking about the scores that the United Party for National Development have made. How are they contributing to the economic recovery of this country? Keep those messages and those phone calls coming later on in the program. Talking about some of the successes, we all know that 30,000 plus teachers have been recruited by the current administration, and the permanent secretary did announce that in September those teachers will commence working, and of course they will be put on their payroll. One aspect that comes to employing teachers of such magnitude is the fact that the wage bill increases. The question that we ask is, do you think the increase in the wage bill will negatively affect government's implementation of some projects, or rather it will affect government spending on the social sector? These are some of the arguments that have been used by some opposition leaders and of course some sector of society who says Zambia's budget mostly is constrained by the debt and the wage bill. So by government increasing the wage bill, it will have of course an impact on government spending on other social sectors, such as the constructing of schools, hospitals, roads and other stuff like that. But do you agree with that notion? Others have equally argued to say employing more people will mean government is going to get a lot of taxes. Of course, we know that government is budgeted that some of the resources that it will raise to implement the budget should come from taxes from the people. And of course, doing that is increasing government's resources. That is the argument. And of course, creating employment, making life better for the people. Do you agree with that? These are some of the things we will be talking about. Unfortunately, today, the health sector was expecting to equally celebrate after the teachers. The names were supposed to be published today for health personnel who've been selected among the 11,000 that government plans to recruit this year. Unfortunately, yesterday, we did see government issue a statement saying the process is still undergoing, considering that the government received an overwhelming response when it came to applying. So they are ensuring that everyone who's been selected qualifies. They want to pick, of course, the best of what we have around. Everyone is the best. Hopefully, government does the right thing, because people have waited and they want to know what is it that is in for them. So unfortunately, today the names will not be released. But for those who are so expectant, let's get to hear, how have you received this news? So government says the names will only be published next week on the 29th of July, 2022. And that is the latest update on the recruitment of 11,000 plus health personnel. And then let's zoom into some of the stories that made headline. Yesterday, there was a fracas that happened here in Lusaka, where a business person was stormed by some community members, demanding that he opens his store that had bad odor, because they believe he has been keeping dead bodies in his butchery. And of course, that was evidenced by some bloodstains that were seen outside his butchery. So people stormed him and demanded that he opens his shop so that they can see what was there. But when that was done, actually, it tends to be the opposite, and community members still rejected, demanding that he releases the dead body that we did not see. So what am I talking about? Let's zoom into the headline.
Tempers flared in Lusaka's Challenge area Thursday afternoon after a mob of residents stormed a named butchery in the area on suspicions that the owner has been keeping a dead body. The mob in loud voices were calling on the owner to open the butchery so that they inspect what he has been hiding. Details on the matter are that a Mr. Sante Chimonyo of Lusaka West area has been allegedly accused to have been holding a dead body in his butchery owing to the fact that residents of Chilenje Ward 8 have been smelling a bad odor emitting from the butchery, and that in the early hours of today, residents had spotted some trails of blood leading to his butchery, which has been non-operational for almost 4 years now. However, when the matter reached police, who rushed to the scene with Lusaka City Council Public Health team to inspect the named butchery, only a number of dead and rotten chickens were found in the said butchery. And speaking to journalists, the owner of the shop, Sante Chimunya, had this to say.
It's not working at the moment. The shop does not operate at the moment. Except our cold rooms were working. And now, because we are keeping chickens in Lusaka West at the farm, so we had challenges on how to keep them. We had to bring them in the cold room. Okay? So now, because we are not working, it took us time to discover that our cold rooms were vandalized. Are you with me? So thieves went in behind, we don't know how. It took us over a week, because we are not always here, to discover that actually where we keep chickens, the cold rooms have been vandalized. And I should be honest, when my workers came to check, they heard the smell. That's how we discovered that something is amiss in the shop. So we came, my wife came yesterday, opened the shop, that's when they found what we found here.
Meanwhile, Chilenje Ward 8 Councillor Ruben Mwenya says the matter will be followed up to its logical conclusion.
We are in these premises where we've discovered that there were a lot of rotten chickens that were kept here. So we are just trying to see how we can conclude. So we are seizing all these chickens, and apparently there are some chickens that were picked from this place last night. So from here we are touring to see where those chickens were taken before they can be exposed to people.
Though Mr. Chimunya claims that his butchery was vandalized 2 weeks ago, thus leading to his chickens rotting, residents do not seem to be convinced. Messi Chanika reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
There you have it. That is a Lusaka businessman, Mr. Sante, yesterday, who was attacked by a mob who were demanding that he was keeping a dead body in his butchery because it was producing a bad odor. And of course, they demanded that he opens the shop so that they see what was going on. This is a business person who's been contributing to the development of his community. What is your take with regards to that? Do you agree with the step that was taken by the community? Or rather, what is your comment with regards to what the businessman did? Remember, he is saying that the shop has not been operating for quite some time now, but he has been keeping chickens in that shop, of course, that have now gone to waste. He says, no, I'm a business person, I've been keeping chicken in Lusaka West, but the butchery has not been working, and I didn't realize that some people had vandalized the premise, thereby resulting in some of their fridges not working. That caused their chickens to go to waste. That is one of the stories that made headline yesterday in our news. But of course, this is not the first time that we are seeing people in this country and in different parts of the country rising against a citizen who does business and say their business is not genuine. Most of the people have said they use witchcraft, they use juju to make money. We have seen such kind of scenarios where people accuse those who do business and whose business do well to say they use, of course, charms for them to have customers. And of course, for him, people were saying he murders people. That is what has been contributing to the growth of his business. And of course, after hearing the smell that was coming out of the butchery, they thought he was keeping a dead body there. That's why he even had to close the shop. So they rose against him, and of course, they wanted him to account. Even when he gave them an explanation of what happened, the community did not believe, and they still demanded that the dead body be released. What is your comment? Do you think such kind of behavior has been contributing to the downfall of some businesses in the country? Or do you think those who do business should be held accountable for what they do in providing services to the people? Let's get to interact. What is your comment with regards to that particular subject this morning? A mob justice yesterday raided one of the shops in Lusaka where they demanded that a dead body that he has been keeping in his shop be released. I know this has happened in particular places. I think I did see this in Kapirimponshi some time back, where people believed someone was keeping what they call ikidi lomba in their shops, and one day everyone rose and they stormed the man demanding that he releases the ikidi lomba because it was I'm sure drawing money from them. I don't know how these mysterious things work, but people in the market were saying when they sell, they don't see their money. Why? Because a certain particular person or a business person has been magically drawing money away from their businesses into his business because his business was flourishing. And of course, in Nakonde, I think we also saw a similar instance happen where a mob raided a particular businessman's business on pretext that he was using charms for his business. Such kind of development or behavior, do you think they are killing businesses in Zambia, or is it that the owners of these businesses have to be kept accountable for what they do? Let us get to interact. Even before we allow today's guest in studio, we are going to, of course, have a guest in studio where we are going to be discussing some of the scores that have been made by the United Party for National Development Administration since they assumed office. How are they contributing to economic recovery? Some of those aspects, in case you're wondering, we have seen the recruitment of 30,000 plus health workers. We have seen a pending recruitment, 30,000 plus teachers, and of course an expected 11,000 plus recruitment of health personnel. How will some of these contribute to economic recovery? Apart from that, we have seen the administration say there will be no cadarism. Do you think not doing away with cadarism has contributed to economic recovery? We are seeing them talk about the fight against corruption, of course, which has been questionable because those involved feel the act that is being taken by the government is a witch hunt against the former administration. But do you think fighting corruption and the way it is being done right now is contributing to the economic recovery of this country? So more about that is being discussed on the program this morning. Zooming into other stories that made headline. Even right about now, the anticipated Constituency Development Fund resources. Yesterday we did see the Minister of Local Government, of course, update Parliament where he says most of the projects have been confirmed by the ministry, except for those who are looking for empowerment resources. The government said they are still looking for a financial institution to engage on this particular issue. Remember, what government will be giving out is loans, and when someone gets a loan, they have to pay back. So government is still looking for a financial institution to engage in order for empowerment funds to equally be given to the beneficiaries. So the government employs 30,000, it is employing 11,000, and of course it says we are going to support businesses with resources. This somehow is creating employment for the local people. So how will that and more contribute to economic recovery? So what am I talking about? Even right about now, we are going to zoom into that story that made headline yesterday from the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Gary Nkombo. Stay tuned to Camnet TV. The increase in constituency development funds from 1.6 million kwacha to 25.7 million kwacha by the United Party for National Development UPND administration came with various critiques from some sector of society, including the opposition leaders who believe the initiative is a hoax that will amount to nothing and its implementation will be a failure. However, the government is determined to prove its critics wrong by ensuring the success of the implementation of the projects under the 25.7 million kwacha constituency development funds. To that effect, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Gary Nkombo has told Parliament that his government has so far released a total of 2,205,365,577.12 kwacha for the implementation of CDF projects. The minister adds that all the 156 constituencies have so far received a total of about 6.4 million kwacha each.
This entails that each constituency has so far received 6,433,695.67 kwachas, which includes the costs of administration.
Mr. Nkombo also says all projects under CDF have been approved except empowerment funds, adding that the government is still looking for a financial institution to engage in this matter.
My ministry has made much more progress in approving proposals for all the components except the empowerment loans, which is now still a subject of the determination of which financial institution we are going to go with.
And in order to improve the uptake of the 25.7 million kwacha, the minister says his ministry has also adopted a 10-working-day turnaround policy, which demands that the administrative processes for the approval of projects, programs and beneficiaries for various components be undertaken within 10 days of receiving the proposals.
In further streamlining the administration processes, my ministry has effected a 10-working-day turnaround policy. This demands that the administrative processes for approval of projects and programs and beneficiaries for the various components will be undertaken within 10 working days following the receipt of the proposals at the ministry. Thank you. It is expected that this will result in increased uptake of funds by respective constituencies.
He has since appealed to all members of Parliament to ensure all applications are in line with the guidelines to avoid any inconveniences. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News. There you have it. That was Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Gary Nkombo, who was updating Parliament on the Constituency Development Fund. I know this particular topic has been hot since the government announced the increase from 1.6 million to 25.7. And I know some stakeholders and some opposition leaders have criticized the government, saying they are going to fail because you can't give all that money to a constituency without first undertaking a study to see how successful this will be. But the government is determined to ensure that this project becomes a success. So far, it says it has released 50% of the resources between January and July today. That is the first 6 months. All the resources have been released, like over 2.2 billion kwacha has been released. And the minister says each constituency has received 6,433,995.67 million kwacha, including administrative. So he says some projects have been approved and government is still approving some of the projects that these constituencies wish to undertake. But the biggest picture here is on the empowerment funds. I know a lot of people are so expectant, but the minister said they are still engaging a financial institution over the issue of empowerment funds to see which financial institution they will use. But between January and July, government has not yet come up with who they will engage over that particular issue. So let's get to interact. I know a lot of people are so expectant with regards to the constituency development funds and, of course, the resources that are going towards empowerment. So what is your take over government's decision to say they are still looking for a financial institution to engage on that particular issue? So we have a caller this morning. Hello?
Clarification on what happened at our butcher in Chilenge.
Yes, please.
Yeah, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm all right. This is Mr. Conde. I've been UPND. And this is my first man.
Thank you so much, sir. You are the owner of the butchery. Yeah, I'm sure I've seen a lot of messages, even in Facebook. People are asking what happened. So it's good to know you're watching Camnet this morning.
Yeah, I am. I just want to say, I want to thank the journalists from your station there for having reported the incident. And then I want to thank the CIO, CID at the Police, and his officer, and also the officer in charge in Splendid, for having acted professionally in stopping vandalism at the store.
Okay.
Okay, what happened is that the shop hasn't been operating for some time now. Hello? The shop hasn't been operating for some time now. But like I said in the area interview, we got cold rooms there, and we had some chickens. Apparently for us, because we rarely go there, the cold rooms were vandalized. And that resulted into our chickens going to waste. We would have known the situation because we are maybe there once in 2 weeks, maybe once in a week. And just like anyone else, we also just got in some emails. That's when we realized that something is amiss in the shop. And in our process of rectifying that situation, someone just came up and started saying, we are shooting the bodies, we are doing this. And what we know, the following day, we had spoke from the council, we had spoke from the police, we had that huge crowd outside. But you know what, in this thing, whatever happens, the truth is still stands. The truth is still stands. No one can change the truth. And no one in business would want to lose such a thing. But lost a lot of money there. It takes money to repair because those 2 bedrooms there can be stolen. And it's not easy to bring them to life. Okay? We've lost a good number of chickens. That's revenue. We are in a process of opening the shop. As the journalists can alluded to, the shop is undergoing repairs right now. And we hope that in a month or so we open it. But what is happening now is most unfortunate. There is nothing like black magic, nothing. You know what? The God who sees our heart knows the truth. And whoever tries to speak the truth will still remain. Nothing will ever change the truth. Some overzealous individual there was going to dramatize everything. But it was to his benefit. To his benefit. And I can only thank God that no human being was lost. No instance came up. And once again, I thank the police instead for us acting professional.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask a question, sir, before you leave?
Yes, ma'am.
There is a viewer who's watching and is saying, how do you put chickens with feathers in the fridge? Like, a viewer wants to know, why did you keep chickens with feathers in a fridge? So maybe clarify that so that people don't have doubt in you.
No, normally we crop chickens in the night. We crop chickens in the night. So, what I mean by cropping chickens in the night, chickens to the abattoirs are 3 hours. Because those dead animals, you don't get the cleaning the day. And we have workers who actually do the cleaning during the day, I mean during the night. So they're supposed to have been cleaned the following day or so. And the incident happens. That's what I can say.
Okay, and then
I want to assure the public, JS Butcheries is a brand. And the business has been running for some time. It's not easy to build up an image like that, and then somebody wakes up on a split of a second. This is the business. It's not fair. And not the right thing to do. I expect a person like a country like that was to behave much free. Yes, our interest is to protect the business and protect the people around the community who buy from the business. You can't start traumatizing things on the media. That's wrong.
Thank you so much, sir, for that contribution. You said the first name is Mr. Who? Sante? Oh, Mr. Sunday.
Yes, madam.
Mr. Sunday, sir, thank you so much, and wishing you all the best, even as you look to reopen your business.
Thank you, madam. Because the health department is involved. We are going to arrest them and we'll go through the due process to normalize the situation.
All right, sir. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a call from Mr. Sunday, the owner of the butchery yesterday that was raided by some mob in the community. He is defending himself, saying he has been running a genuine business. Actually, he says his code rooms were invaded by some thieves who stole some things in there. He says his business has not been running for some time. Why? Because it has been undergoing renovations. But of course, he is a business person and he still keeps chickens at his farm. So they were keeping those chickens. When they kill them in the night, you don't clean them there and then, so they come and put them in the cold room and then wait for the following day to engage people to clean them. So he's defended his business. He says he has invested so much in that particular business and he was hoping in a month or so to reopen back his business. Of course, we can't run away from the fact that this particular business has been creating employment for the local people, and of course we cannot also run away from the fact that this is a local person who's invested so much in their business. He feels disappointed the fact that a particular person who's jealous about the business went around purporting that he has been keeping a dead body. He says that information is not true. So let's get to hear what another caller has to say over that.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
Yes, my question is, if that person is saying that I don't know if you will say something like the shop has not been working for some time. So what we're supposed to say that the chicken is doing in those fridge, and who even put the chicken with feathers in the fridge?
Okay, thank you so much for that contribution.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so another viewer there who's watching has a concern saying, if the shop has not been working, why have you been putting chickens there? And who puts chickens with feathers in a fridge? So I don't want to speak for Mr. Sunday, but if I got what he said in his explanation, when I asked a particular question, he said, the cold rooms, like they kill chickens, they don't kill chickens during the day, they do that in the night, and then when they do that, they put them in a cold drill or a cold room, and then the following day they engage people to clean them. So that was the defense that he used to say, we killed them, but we had put them there before we can engage people to clean them. But unfortunately, they did not realize that the cold rooms were actually vandalized by some community members who broke through the store and stole some things from there. That was his defense. But I don't want to speak on his behalf, but when he called, that's what I heard him say. So thank you so much for that contribution, and everyone who's watching Camnet TV. Let's get to interact over what we have to say over what is happening around. So yesterday also, we did play a clip about the graveyard. When I was growing up, I was yesterday joking with my partner home, saying, you know, when I was growing up, we really had respect for the dead. When a dead body is passing, we literally used to stand to offer respect to the dead. But anyway, before we go to that clip, we have another caller. Hello, good morning.
You know, if everyone then you expect to use the weight, which is very wrong.
Pardon, I can't hear you, sir. You're breaking.
I'm saying people who are very condemning that system that is using duty is just a general. Because how many people are doing business in this country? So if everyone is building a duty, then I don't, this country, people can support the different nations. Business, you can do business. You have people, you are protected people, then it is to do business. You are going to succeed. So generally, it's what makes people accusing other people for that. What we should do is encourage people to see someone doing well, join him. So at the end of the day, don't be part of what is doing in the society. So for me, I'm condemning those people are giving other people falling in which is very wrong. Are we saying we stop doing business because people will start accusing us people they are doing? Then in Kanye Paka who could have been in the matter. That has nothing to do with me. Anyone. Even that enough of the move of anger. You can't see the gift of the you don't go on a please, Mozambique, what that happened about people. Those people come and you even find that Mama in the why do you have to why so to
so where are you calling me from?
I'm calling from Mumbo.
From?
Mumbo.
It's good to know Mumbo is tuned in this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that contribution. So that is someone from Mumbo who's saying, Zambians, please, let's stop being jealous of one another. That's a particular business. It doesn't mean people who do business, then they're actually using charms to do their business. It says, let's learn to support each other. And that particular person has been doing that business for quite some time. Many people have even been going there to buy the same chickens they are talking about. So let's support one another. Let's not pull each other down. It says, not everyone who does business uses charms. It says, even me, sometimes I keep chickens with feathers in the fridge. That is not particularly a problem. So that is a contribution coming from Mumbo. It's good to know Mumbo is tuned in this morning. He supports that particular business. This reminds me actually of something. I'm not going to mention a name, but for those who are watching me from the Copper Belt to Luansha, Patamato exactly, I came from there and I stayed there for quite some time. If you know Pamama Bakery, then you should know me very well. So I remember one time in 2011 when I went to Luansha, and there's a trend that I noticed about shop owners, because where I used to stay, actually, it was near a market. So there's a lot that I observed about shop owners. There's a particular person who people used to accuse of using charms when it comes to doing business. They used to say the same businesses around here, they don't flourish, but his business has been doing very well and he kept on expanding. So I started doing a little bit of a study why this has been the fact. There's something interesting that I noticed that I would love to share with everyone watching me this morning. If you're a particular business person, there are certain trends that you have to work around if you want your business to do very well. So this particular businessman, what he does is, when I was asleep, I used to, by then I think I was doing my internship. I was a student by then doing my internship. Then one thing that I used to observe is this particular person would come at his business very early in the morning. Around 05:30, I would actually hear him sweeping outside. You would hear his car pass through our homes. It goes to his place and you would hear he would be sweeping. Of course, he would be talking with a guard. There was a bank teller, a bank till somewhere, and there were guards there. So when he comes in the morning, he would speak to the guards, and he was the one who was waking me up actually in the morning, because I used to hear their voices. So when I hear their voices, I would know it's morning. This particular person used to come very early. Why? Because he wanted to catch the early birds, like for example, the school children, the miners, everyone who was going for work in the morning. We knew that if you passed through his shop or you lacked something, you were definitely going to find it open. And of course, when it came to his closing time, he always used to close his business around 21. Even when you are late, you need something, you walk out, you go to the market, definitely you were going to find his shop open and you were going to get what you wanted. So sometimes I think it's just the attitude that we have towards business. Imagine someone who's opening a business at 06 hours and someone who's opening their business at 09 hours. Do you expect to make the same resources? So sometimes it depends with the attitude that we have towards business. Someone who closes their business at 17 or 18 hours and someone who closes their business at 21 hours, do you expect to make the same resources? So for those Burundis, Rwandanese, if you see the attitude that they have towards business, it's something that is worth marveling at, because they really do a good job when it comes to opening early and closing their businesses early. And in an aspect where you are unable to wake up early, you can even agree with a relative who you are keeping home or something like that to say, can you go to the shop and open? I'll come and join you later. If that is you are unable to wake up early, but don't trust your business, entrust your business with other people. If you have to do it, do it. So most of the time I notice this particular person, if he's not the one who's there, then it is the wife. So he would come early, open his business, then if he has to leave, his wife would come, sit in for him. He goes, makes orders, does other things, but still come back, and he was the last person to close the business. So if we have such kind of attitude towards our own businesses, I'm sure we are going to contribute positively to the development of this country, and your business is going to be doing very well. It is just the right attitude at times towards your business that we have to embrace. It's not always that people use charms in business. You can't be opening your business at 8 and 9 hours, close at 17, and you want to make the same resources with someone opening their business at 06 and closing the business at 21 hours. I'm not saying you have to be there every day, but you can rotate with other people, but ensure that your business keeps running. So let's develop the right attitude towards business for those who are doing businesses. And I always laugh around with my colleague Sharon to say, you know, we come for work early in the morning, sometimes we knock off late, and we do that. But if we have to start our own businesses, are we going to be managing to do that? So you see, sometimes we are willing to do that for other people, but are you willing to do that or invest all that time in your own business? So what is it that I'm talking about? Let's get to interact and give each other tips on how to do business. But don't forget, in today's topic of discussion, we are going to have our guest who's going to join us shortly, but we are going to take a short breather even as we allow our guest to settle. Stay tuned to Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Oh, we testify, we celebrate.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
We testify, we celebrate. For all you've done, Lord. We give you all the praise. Oh, we testify, we celebrate. Oh, Lord, we give you all the praise.
The Agriculture and Commercial Show is back, bigger and better, under the theme Innovation Through Technology. And as Camnet TV, we are here to transform your business through our technology. Advertise with us on discounted rates during the month of July and during the Agriculture and Commercial Show. Special price package for live stunt interviews, on-screen product placement during the coverage of the show. For more details, call the following numbers. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Thank you so much for staying tuned to Camnet TV. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel. And today on Friday, we look at the big business sector of what is happening around. This is a business segment. That's why I'm sure you saw that clip of the mob that happened in Lusaka yesterday being played on the program. Remember, the person involved in that is a business person. And the question is, how is that going to affect their business going forward? So it did call the owner of that particular shop did go on this program to defend himself and of course give an explanation of what happened. So for everyone who's following us on our Facebook page, I've seen Lamek Kamanga there from Mufulira. It's good to know you are tuned in this morning. Continue watching Camnet TV. We appreciate. I've seen Angel Chembo there. Thank you so much for that contribution. I'm seeing all the contributions that are coming around on this program. Vincent there and Kiama Sengo. Thank you so much for tuning in to Camnet TV and for that comment. I'm taking note of all the comments that are coming through on the program. And of course, Kingston there, it's good to know you're tuned in this morning. This name, I was actually laughing with my colleague in studio, Kredzek. Oh, that's a wonderful name. Thank you so much. It's good to know you're tuned in to Camnet TV and listening to the topic of discussion. And of course, those contributions, keep them coming. We are here to give you nothing but the best and a platform for you to express your comments and contributions. So moving on to the topic of discussion this morning, the scores that have been made by the United Party for National Development Administration, how are they contributing to economic recovery? Remember, we have an Agenda 2030 of becoming a middle prosperous income by then. We only have 8 years, to go before 2030, and Zambia has been reclassified as a low-income country from a low-middle income country. Do we have the capacity to become a prosperous middle-income country by the year 2030? Are the policies and of course the scores that have been made by the United Party for National Development moving us towards the Agenda 2030 as a country? In studio this morning, I have been joined by a financial analyst who's not new to the screens of Camnet TV, and of course on social media is really been contributing to what has been happening around. This is Mape Musonda. Sir, good morning.
Morning, Prudence, and morning, everyone.
Thank you so much.
To everyone who's watching us.
Yeah, thank you so much for making it to Camnet TV this morning. I've been following some of the articles that you've been writing around some of the things that are happening. And of course, I thought, let's maybe get to interact and just talk about some of the things that are happening. Remember, the United Party for National Development made a lot of promises before coming into power, of which some they have fulfilled and some we are yet to see them being fulfilled. But we also have an agenda of becoming a middle prosperous income by the year 2030. Now that we have been reclassified as a low-middle income country, maybe let me throw this to you as a financial analyst. Do you think we still have the capacity to become a prosperous middle income country by the year 2030?
Yeah, it's not good for our country that we have been reclassified to a low income status. We made strides in the past and we were classified to middle income. But we have been reclassified, more or less like we have been dropped from being the middle income, but to that status of being almost like being a poor, highly indebted country. So it's not good for the image of the country, but it's also as a result of the decisions that we have made in the past that have culminated into us being downgraded from middle income to low income. So it's just about the decisions. And looking at the energy around the country right now with the new Donald administration, and if we make good steps, necessary steps, we may just rebound to being classified, maybe not just middle income, but maybe even
do you still think we have the chance of becoming a prosperous country in 8 years' time from now, looking at what the current administration is doing?
8 years is a long time. It is a long time. And if we make the correct decisions in terms of stimulating economic growth in the country, then we have a lot of chance, actually. I would say we have 50-50 chance. If we make, what is important is to stimulate economic growth. And to stimulate economic growth, you have to support programs that are going to bring about productivity in the economy. Right now, where we are not very productive as a country. We import almost everything. And if we do not change the narrative, then we will just be a talk show country. We'll remain a talk show country, and it will be difficult in the 8 years to achieve that. But if government puts in place policies that are going to support, especially the local entrepreneurs, you see the large core, the backbone of the economy of this country is in the private sector. Government, of course, plays a huge role, but the private sector, and this private sector I'm talking about, it's not big companies, no. It is a cantemba that you own, you know, that side business that you do. If you have a small business, all those businesses that are around the markets, in our markets, wherever we have a lot of trading places, that's where a lot of transactions happen. So government needs to be deliberate about empowering those small businesses. We have a lot of informal businesses, and those are the ones that need the most help. You will see that large corporations, they have conditions that favor them, but for an indigenous entrepreneur like myself, it's difficult, because just right from the beginning, I start a company. PACRA is on my back. They want me to file in returns where I'm supposed to pay. ZIA wants me to pay every month. The council wants me to pay levy, fire, business levy, all those things. I have to pay all these things. So government needs to come in and sort of put a waiver on small businesses, so that at least within the 5 years of your establishment, you are not subjected to this red tape and the payment of things which will draw you back. So the economic growth in this country, and even for us to be classified to prosper as what those aspirations, it lies with the small businessmen and women, small entrepreneurs. If those are elevated, if they are empowered enough and elevated to a point where they can change the status quo from just being, there's a saying that's taima taiwa, you know, a small business where taima taiwa, meaning it's just there, constant. It won't increase, like the marketeers. You will see that a lot of marketeers in the market, if they have been selling tomato, they will be selling tomato.
They've been selling
on
one box of tomato every day.
Yes.
It's one box of tomato.
But that's not the way it's supposed to be. When you are doing business, it's just like life. Life can't be just constant. That's how come even you and me, the way we are talking here, the way we will talk next year, they should be changed.
There should be a difference.
We can't just keep on being the same. No. Even that's why we grow. Even human beings, we grow. You will change. So you can't just maintain the status quo. And if the reason why we are not growing as an economy is because of the same taima taiwa. So we need to improve that taima taiwa into yaima, you know, where that business thrives, so that another person comes in to take the place of that person who was at that level. Yeah.
Powerful submission there by Mr. Mwape Msonda, who's a financial analyst, is saying if you are a business, you can't continue being at the same level in life. If you are a small business, you've been selling one box of tomato, at least next year or the other year, you should go to 2 and then 4 in a day. It means your business is improving. But it says that can only be done if government puts in deliberate measures to support small businesses, not just big businesses that have a standard, but small businesses is what will lead to economic recovery. A very powerful submission there. I hope our stakeholders are watching. Mr. Soko from Livingstone, it's good to know you've joined us this morning. That's Mr. James Soko, and he's following the program. Please, let's get to interact, make those phone calls and those submissions on Facebook. I'm watching, and it's good to know everyone has tuned into Camnet TV, not just another channel. We are talking about the scores that the United Party for National Development are making. How are they contributing to economic recovery? Are all the scores they are making contributing to the economic recovery of this country? Moving on, Mr. Musonda, we did see government announce the recruitment I've known for a fact that the budget, Zambia's budget mostly, has been constrained by public wage bill and debt reservicing, leaving few resources for social sector, spending on the social sector. This has been a problem for quite some time now. Now, considering that the government has even increased the wage bill by employing 30,000 teachers and, of course, 11,000 expected health personnel, do you think this in itself is a positive move, or do you think it's going to draw away from government spending on the social sector?
Employment of over 30,000 teachers and the pending employment of 11,000 health workers. Whichever way you look at it, that is a very positive development. And it's a big score for the UPND, a very big score.
Yeah.
Because majority of those people that have been employed are young people. And it's the young people that turned out there to vote for the current administration. So it's a big score, and you cannot take anything away from that. And it's kudos to the UPND government. Kudos, because I mean, there are a lot of young people that are going to school, and usually in Zambia, the culture that we have is employment is everything. That's the way we have been brought up. You find somebody who's a trained mechanic, they can't do the job on their own. They just want to be employed.
They are going to wait to be recruited in the council.
Somebody's a mechanic. You are a mechanic. Go and set up a garage on your own. But you find that even if you set up on your own, your mother, your father, they will tell you, no, they can find a job. You see? But you find, that's a culture that we have in Zambia. So it's a positive development, because it means that there are about now over 40,000 people that are going to be income earners. And when we talk about taking away from spending from the social sector and it's going to the employed personnel, of course, definitely that it's going to lead to that. In terms of, like, the budget would say, this is the wage bill. If say we had 50 million that we are paying, so the additional employees maybe will take away maybe about 80,000. So it means that from the other areas, that if the budget is 100 million, and the wage bill is currently at 50 million, and we have employed more teachers and health personnel, and the additional bill is about 80,000. It means that we are taking up now 80,000 of the budget. So meaning the other areas will have to suffer for us to be able to support these other new employees. But when you look at it, in terms of where this money that will go to the additional staff, where it will end up, it will still go back. Of course, the social sectors, the other sectors that money they had allocated to them, they won't see that money. But indirectly, that money is still going to go into the social sector. Because when I get paid my salary, what I don't just the way I spend that money, I will send some of the money to my relatives. I will spend that money on social issues. I'll send the money to my grandmother. I'll send this money to pay my tithe at church. I will go into a shop. I'll buy, and that's stimulating economic activity. So it is even though it's not directly going to go to the social sectors, but it will indirectly end up there.
Okay,
that's what will happen. So the employment of this personnel, it's a 100% big score for the government. Definitely that one.
What other activities or opportunities do you think the government should undertake in order to create more employment in the country? I know there is the anticipated constituency development funds, the empowerment funds, but of course yesterday we did hear the Minister of Local Government, that is Gary Kombo, mention that other projects have been approved by the government so far, except the one for empowerment. Why? Because they are still looking for a financial institution to engage in that aspect. But this is 7 months down the line, government has not even yet come up with a financial institution. So what other ventures do you think the government should put in place in order to create opportunities and employment for the local people?
Okay, so empowerment. Firstly, I want to say that I think the way we have been implementing empowerment in this country, we are doing it in a wrong way. It's a good thing to empower people, but we need to change the model and put money where it's going to make a return. You see, there's a saying that money does not start an idea, but an idea starts money.
Okay.
So today I can give you 10,000 kwacha and tell you, come up with a business. You will fail to come up with a business. You end up just chewing that money.
Okay.
But if you come to me and say, Mr. Amson, I've got this business that I want to start. The only thing I need is money. Then that's a different ballgame, because even if you told me, no, you want 10,000, I say, I don't have 10,000, I'm going to give you 2,000 kwacha today. You will still go ahead and do it, because you already have an idea. But when I give you money, which you are not ready for, you are definitely going to end up misusing that money. So that's how empowerment has been implemented in this country. Usually, the youths are told there is money here, apply for it. So now when you say there is money for here, apply for it, what happens is that I'll go there and hire someone to write for me application, and then I end up getting that money, which I misuse now. It goes to just other things. I see there are a lot of opportunities. Me, my idea is that maybe government or the MPs that are administering this CDF, they need to look in their constituencies and identify the people that are already in business,
doing something.
Those that are already entrepreneurs, those that are welding gates, those that are making blocks, those that are doing all sorts of economic activities. Somebody who's running a bottle store, somebody who's running what is this, grocery store. Identify those people, give them the money. Those are already in business, and the taimata yours. Those are the ones I'm talking about. Because if you give that person who's already doing business, what it means is that that person will use that money to grow their business.
To grow their business. And
when they grow the business, that will now create employment. You understand? Because employment can only be created by, of course, government is the largest formal employer. But like I said earlier, the informal sector actually is the backbone. That's where majority of the people who are employees work. If I have a small grocery store, I employ a cashier or two. They are exchanging shifts. That's an employment creation. So if I get empowered, I get that money, the funding, because I'm identified based on merit, that I'm already running a business. Maybe government should go to Pakra and get the current list of the local entrepreneurs and empower those.
But Mr. Msonda, also you at first mentioned an aspect that when someone has an idea, it is an idea that generates money. So what of for those who have ideas? I know you've mentioned the fact that sometimes how we do things is wrong, because I might just know that there's money there, take advantage, and even ask someone to write a proposal for me, which I don't even understand. So your suggestion is that the government should invest at least in those businesses that are already doing something. But what of for those who have ideas, but they don't have the resources in this case?
Of course, very, very important. Maybe I would say the approach should be in the initial stage. Let's assist those who already have something going on. Those who already have businesses that are established, those are the ones that should be given priority. And then those that have got ideas, then they can be considered. Because what has been happening is that those that are already running businesses, usually they are not even considered. I know a few may have been considered, but you see that people are empowered, and what happens is that they don't even pay back the money. If it's a loan, they don't pay back. That's because he had an idea. somebody didn't have an idea. They had an idea because they were told that there's money. So maybe the steps that should be taken is, first of all, let's consider those that are already in business. Because if you empower that person who's already in business, the chances of them misusing the money are little compared to the one that doesn't have anything. And they are a startup, you give them, along the business, by the way, is not easy to run. Just like any other thing.
It's not guaranteed that when you start you make profit.
But just like any other thing, and I think maybe let me share this. You see, the approach that we have taken in this country, where we, with education, if you are taken to school, you will fail. Upon a grade 9, upon a grade 12, you'll be made to repeat. We have college, even there, maybe you repeat a year or something like that. People will just believe that you are going to make it. They will keep on investing in you. They will pay for your school fees. But with business, the approach is different. You start a business, you lose money just once. No, business is not for you. A business, no, if we can invest the same energy that we invest in school, in business, I think we're going to be very successful. School takes you like, maybe somebody is 3 years old, you take them to preschool. Up to when they get to 5 years or 6 years, you take them to grade 1 up to grade 12, then you take them to university. About 20 years of somebody's life, they have been in school. That's the kind of investment that we put into school. With business, it's different. You just go in business 1 month. You just have a small challenges, you stop. And they will say, no, the business, you can't do it. We need to change that. We need to start investing more into entrepreneurship. If we invest more in entrepreneurship, this country is going to be developed. We have a lot of employees and entrepreneurs in this country, and that's what needs to change for us to create a level of employment that is going to take us into a prosperous economy in the next 8 years.
Mr. Mwape Msonda is a financial analyst there, and it's like you were leading my mind, because before you came on the show, that's the same thing that I was saying, to say, you know what, most of the time when you're working, we invest a lot of time and energy in the work that we do for others. But if you are to do your own business, would you invest the same energy? For example, I come for work in the morning at 7 and knock off at 17, sometimes 18, sometimes I even go up to 19 because I can't leave when work is done. If I invest the same time in the business, how is my business going to perform? I think this is where we get it wrong, because most of the time when we are doing our own things, we limit ourselves. You want to open your business at 9, at 8 hours, 17, 18, you are closed, you are home. Following day, 9, sometimes you even feel lazy in our lives, 10, and stuff like that. So it's good that you've equally spoken about having the right attitude towards work. Mr. Elvis Young, there, Junior, Livingston, it's good, Mbala, pardon me, it's good to know you are watching this morning. Thank you for those contributions. Keep them coming. We are talking about economic recovery, the scores that the United Party for National Development has made so far. How are they contributing to economic recovery? Mr. Mwape Msonda is a financial analyst, and of course is mentioned to the fact that government, in as much as they want to empower people, let them at least look at businesses that are already existing, unlike people who are only coming to source resources just because they've heard that there are resources. Do you support or agree with what Mr. Msonda has to say this morning? Let's get to interact and hear what you have to say. Moving on, Mr. Msonda, let's talk about another score that the UPND administration has made so far, and that is in the area of education. We have seen government has introduced free education, and one day I was speaking to one opposition leader who argued to say free education is really a drain to government coffers, because this initiative failed. If you look at the calendar time, there was free education, but it started constraining everything in the national budget to an extent where they had to abandon it and ask parents to even pay a little bit from what they had, the fees that they had to pay in schools. But the reintroduction of free education, do you think this is positively contributing to the growth of this economy?
Free education. The average Zambian is about grade 9. That's like the highest level of education. The average if we look at all the 18 million of us, those who are very learned, who have got PhDs and whatnot, they are very few compared to the people that are not learned in this country. The average is that we are at grade 9 and grade 7 level. If you go in the villages, you find people that are the core of the mass in there is grade 9, grade 7. So when we talk about free education, it being provided to everyone, it is a very good thing because it means that it will increase the number of people that are going to get to that level of, maybe we'll even improve in terms of the average. Maybe we can go to grade 12. If you look at where we're coming from, even some of your friends that you went to school with, you will see that some of them dropped off along the way. Some people you are with in grade 7, they dropped off. Some because they failed, they stopped school. Maybe some because of money issues. Somebody has passed grade 10, they can't go to grade 10 because their parents don't have the money for them to pay school fees. So giving free education in the country, it's very good. We need to change, we need to increase the level of literacy in the country. Of course, with the free education, quality has dropped. The quality of education has dropped because the challenges that you hear from the teachers, the head teachers, is that some of them are that they don't have utilities to use in the schools. They are failing to pay school, electricity bills.
But government said it is footing, and I remember in the first quarter they said almost all the schools were paid what the budgets that they submitted to the government. Government clearly indicated that we've cleared all the schools. I think that was for the first quarter of 2022.
Yes, government would clear, but I don't think it's 100% in terms of giving the schools all the requirements. Excuse me, because there are a lot of things. Like for example, I'll give an example of maybe a health institution. Maybe they are given, say, a budget per month of maybe 100 to 100,000 kwacha. So within that 100,000 kwacha, you find if it's a clinic, they will need money to buy fuel in the ambulance. They will need money to buy. There are a lot of expenses that are involved. So you will find that eventually their expenses will outstrip the income that the government will give them, that grant they will give them. So the quality of the product, like for example in schools, the quality of the schools, we have seen now that learners are sitting on the floor. Maybe the numbers have increased because that's why now they're employing more teachers, because the numbers, maybe a teacher now has to handle, if they were having 30 in a class, the numbers have increased to 100. So meaning the standard, the quality has dropped. But this is expected. It's not a bad thing. It's a bad thing, but eventually if we are working towards improving on that, it's ultimately leads to something good, because at least somebody who didn't have access to even know how to write their name will have that access. Because believe me, when I started writing in the newspapers, one of the editors, I'm an accountant by profession. I'm not a journalist, but I publish these articles, and then one of the things that the editor taught me was, Mr. Amson, when you are writing in this country, you have to know that the audience you are writing to is average grade 9. And it's true. The people that are reading the newspapers, in the markets, in the bus stops, they are average grade 9. Find a taxi driver is only grade 9. They are there. So we need to increase the levels of literacy. We really need to increase, because if we don't, then we won't develop.
There will be no development. There will be no economic recovery. Let's move to the area of the fuel sector. I know this one has been a subject of great concern. Almost everyone has been talking about it. We know government said they have subsidized the education sector, and government in the 2022 national budget, they did not put any subsidies to go towards energy. That's why they've they are going to be revising the fuel pump price every month so that us, the consumers, have to foot for all the bills. But looking at what has happened of late, the other day I was surprised. I got on a bus that was going to Charleston, only to realize that from town to Charleston, someone is paying a 20 kwacha. So if you are working from Charleston to town, every day on transport, you will be spending 40 kwacha, almost close to 50 kwacha. And if you look at how much people are getting paid compared to how much they're spending on transport, it's like others are just working for transport, while others are just working for transport and rent. So when it comes to clothing, food and stuff, you have to food for yourself, look for other means of doing that, because transport has really gone up. So let's talk in the area of the transport sector. Do you think the way it is being done is the right way? And this particular route is going to lead to economic recovery of our country?
Yeah. So in terms of the pump prices for fuel and how it's being done, we have this monthly review of so like today is what, 22nd?
Yes.
So
definitely
we expect
next
that,
week on Friday.
Yeah, we expect that there's going to be a price change. Hopefully we can have a downward trend. The way it is, of course, we have heard the explanations that have been given by government, from the energy minister and everyone else, the officials. But I think, on average, all of us as Zambians have been crying that this monthly review needs to be revisited. Of course, the government has been very clear. The subsidies are still there. They have, I think there's no, it's VAT or...
Yeah, the VAT,
or
extension, the removal of VAT was extended. Of course, we've seen that one being in effect.
Yeah, so it's still there in effect, which is a subsidy in itself. But what the majority of Zambians are crying for is that the issue of monthly review needs to be revisited. Of course, the government has explained that the prices change monthly and all those things. But I think it's a responsibility of government to shield us as its people from these changes every month. They need to change this so that they can shield us at least from them. Every month you expect that the price is changing. Because what it is, the way you have just said, the bus fare is changing every day. It's the same with even if you booked a taxi last month at 50 kwacha. If the price changes, they will tell you today it's 80 kwacha.
For short distances, of course, it has moved. If you are using these, maybe you're not using Olendo or Yango, for short distances, for other taxis, sometimes you find that they're charging you 70 kwacha. They were doing 50 kwacha, but now it's 70 and 80 kwacha. So
that's the thing, which affects all of us. All of us are affected, including the government officials themselves. Because, yes, they may have the fuel provided for, things like that, but they also have their relatives, their extended families. So they are also feeling the effect. So the monthly review, I would even say here that we're making an appeal to the Minister of Energy to please revisit this. I think I'm not the only one who's saying this. I think most of the Zambians, even the officials themselves in government. I think I was listening to Letepo talk where Southern Province Minister Cornelius Moita was talking about these things. He acknowledged to say that, of course, even him as a family is feeling the effects of these price changes in fuel. And if there's a better way, they would want to change this monthly review. And that's why we are saying that please revisit that. Shield us as the citizens from the effects of these price changes. Because every time the price changes, when there's an increment, the prices will go up. When there's a decrease, the prices don't go down. The guys who are running these buses and whatnot, the adjustments are very minimal. They don't. Even when you walk into a shop, if you bought a packet of sugar at 50 kwacha, after the price review, it changes everything. Fuel is a driver of every economy. So if you keep changing the prices, it affects the planning of everyone. Yeah.
Okay, some of the scores, of course, we've talked about under the UPND administration is free education. We've talked about employment and the employment opportunities that they are creating through the issuing of constituency development funds, empowerment. We've talked about fuel sector, and now we are going to lastly talk about the issue of corruption. I know there are a lot of sectors that they've scored that we would have spoken about, but due to time, we are unable to do that. So right about now, we are going to maybe just talk a little bit about corruption. We know that corruption has been a very big problem in our country, and of course it has been draining so much from other spending sectors like the social sector and the education sector, because money is in the hands of a few individuals. How do you think the current fight against corruption is contributing to economic recovery? Because I've heard some opposition leaders say this fight is only a witch hunt that is targeted against them and not the actual people who are involved in corruption. So let's talk about the current fight against corruption. I know the UPND administration has been very strong on this particular subject, but are we really seeing the fight against corruption being implemented in the country? And moving forward, how is it that fighting corruption will contribute to economic recovery?
Yeah, so corruption, I firstly want to state that corruption should be fought in with all the energy that we have, because corruption takes away from the majority. Somebody, because of their selfishness, they take away what is supposed to be shared by the majority. So any form of corruption should be fought with very ferociously. So with the current administration, the approach towards the fight against corruption, the only thing we can say is that let them pursue it, and pursue it until it yields the results. We need those who are suspected to have been corrupt, they should be brought to book, and our hope is that the anti-corruption is going to secure the convictions of these people that are suspected to have been corrupt. If somebody is suspected to have been corrupt, there should be no hindrance or whatever obstacles to establishing if they are indeed corrupt. Let them be investigated until we get the results. And our hope is that at the end of it all, after somebody is suspected to have been corrupt, the SEC can secure convictions. Because if these cases don't yield any results, then what will happen is that the narrative will be that it was a witch hunt.
Mr. Mtonda, I have a problem with the fight against corruption. When a person is being pursued for corrupt practices, you find that government spends a lot of resources pursuing that case. When a conviction comes, someone is sentenced to 2 years, 3 years, 4 years in prison. That will not make the country recover the resources that they stole, because they'll just go to jail and serve their sentence. While government, apart from the money that was stolen by that particular person, during that legal process, government adds spending more money pursuing a conviction for that particular person. Maybe moving forward, what is it that we want, or what is it that the government should do to ensure that they just don't pursue and convict those persons, but recover the resources? Remember, in pursuing someone, government is adding more resources to what was being stolen, only for someone to be sentenced to in prison for 2 years, or even a year, or 8 months.
So the way I see it is that the fight against corruption, of course, you find that the person who's been pursued, maybe they store those resources, and they have even spent them. Maybe they have finished all the resources. Maybe they have, so you find that maybe at the end of the day, after you have pursued someone, they will fail to recover even anything. But that shouldn't mean that somebody shouldn't be pursued. If you are perceived to be corrupt, you should be pursued. The law should follow you, establish until you are you found guilty. And in society, there are 2 ways that you are made to pay for the wrongs that you make to society. It's either you pay with imprisonment, or you pay with a penalty charge that you pay. So usually you find when the judges, they will tell you, you either pay, you save this sentence, or you pay, or you save both. You pay and save. So Of course, there's a cost that is involved in the legal process and whatnot. But that, of course, the government should not be deterred from pursuing corruption because of the cost that is involved there. Because then if that's the case, then what will happen is that people will be corrupt. They will steal and they will say, no, government won't follow me because it's scared that it won't recover anything. So the pursue and even the imprisonment is made to serve as a deterrent to would-be offenders of the same offense. So maybe in the context of what you are saying, the only thing we can advocate for is maybe there should be stiffer punishment. Maybe the sentence for somebody who's corrupt should be increased from maybe the 3 years, 2 years to maybe 15 years, so that it can be a big deterrent to people that are wants to engage in corrupt activities. Otherwise, the cost that is involved, it's like we say, elections are costly. So we shouldn't have them.
Hold elections.
No, we are going to have elections. Yes, they are costly. It's democracy. We are expected to pay the price. So we still pay the price. We say, no, I can't have a child because children are very expensive. No, you have to have a child. So it's the same way with the pursuit against corruption. Some cases are going to be very costly. Some are going to yield the results. But at the end of the day, we still need to pursue them so that the people should know that if I steal, I will be pursued no matter the cost. I will be pursued no matter the cost until I'm hunted down.
That is Mr. Mwape Msonda. He's a financial analyst, and we have been speaking to the scores that the United Party for National Development has made since coming into power. How are they contributing to economic recovery? This has been the Friday edition of the Breakfast Show, where we look at the business segment of what has been happening around. For everyone who has been with us on different platforms, on our Facebook page, kudos to you. We appreciate your support. I saw today quite a number of people coming in and just checking what is happening around. We appreciate those submissions that you have made. For everyone who called on this program, thank you so much for that submissions. I know that earlier on in the program, we had a very hot topic where we received those submissions with regards to everyone who's made a comment over the justice mob that happened yesterday in Lusaka on one of the business premises. And of course, many and other more important things. Stay tuned to Camnet TV, not just another channel. We will bring you other exciting things in the course of the day, and of course, our main news at 19:30. So keep watching Camnet TV. We appreciate your support. So for me, Prudence Jota, the entire Camnet TV production team, and my guest, Mr. Mwape Msonda, it's bye for now till next time. Bye-bye.